All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down the latest Q1 growth report to figure out what's actually going on with the economy. Let's do this.
So how is the economy really doing? It's the question we're all asking. But let's forget the headlines for a second. We're looking at the hard data, how 64 different companies across 32 industries actually did. So what's the verdict?
Well, the answer is pretty darn clear. An average revenue growth of 18.2% year over year. I mean, wow. That's not just a little bump. That is some serious, widespread growth. But, revenue is one thing. Is it actually turning into profit?
Oh yeah, it absolutely is. In fact, get this, profits grew even faster, 22.5% on average. So what does that tell us? It means companies aren't just selling more stuff, they're getting smarter and more efficient about it. But this growth isn't happening equally everywhere.
Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. Think of the economy as this big, powerful train. The question is, which sectors are the real engines pulling all that weight?
Yeah, it's great that growth is strong pretty much across the board, but the real story is where the biggest push is coming from. Turns out, there are a couple of sectors that are they're in a completely different league.
And this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? Take a look. The tech sector is absolutely on fire with 22% growth. Manufacturing? Hot on its heels at 19%. Both are blowing past that already great 18.2% average. These two are the powerhouses, no question.
So we know the sectors, but what about the companies? Let's put a face to these numbers. The report actually spotlights a few companies that are, for lack of a better term, absolutely crushing it.
Yeah, the report calls them exceptional performers, and you can see why. These guys aren't just getting lucky and riding a wave. They're doing something different, something smarter, that's really setting them apart.
Okay, first up, E2E Networks. And what's wild here is the comparison. The rest of the industry is doing great, right? But E2E, they posted, wait for it, 42% growth. Just incredible. It's clear they've totally nailed the whole cloud and AI infrastructure boom.
All right, next, let's jump over to finance. Check out Bajaj Housing Finance. Their assets under management, basically the total value of the investments they handle, grew by 28%. That is a massive number, and it's all being fueled by the home loan market. They are just grabbing market share left and right.
And to round out our top three, let's talk about Muthoot Finance. A huge 22% growth in their assets, way above what's typical. And how'd they do it? Smart, strategic expansion of their actual physical branches. It just goes to show you, a good strategy, well executed, really pays off.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got huge overall growth, we've got powerhouse sectors, and we've got these superstar companies. But what's going on underneath it all? What's the foundation that's making all this happen?
A really key idea here is something called margin expansion. And it's simple, really. It's not just about how much money you make, it's about how much of that money you get to keep as profit. When margins expand, it's a huge sign that a business is healthy and running smoothly.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this, a full 75%. That means 3 out of every 4 companies we're talking about managed to get more profitable. This isn't just a fluke with a couple of winners. This is a deep, fundamental strength you're seeing across the board. And it's not just about the margins either. When you dig in, you see all the signs of real financial health. Companies are being smarter about costs. They're managing their day-to-day cash flow better. They're building up their savings, so to speak, with strong balance sheets. This is the solid ground that all those big growth numbers are built on.
So, the picture right now looks pretty rosy, right? But what about the road ahead? What does the future hold? Let's get into the final part of this breakdown.
Well, if you ask the people actually running these companies, they're feeling pretty optimistic. Most of them are forecasting another 15 to 20% growth next year. And they're not just guessing. They've got strong orders already in the pipeline. And they're putting their money where their mouth is, continuing to invest in big projects and technology. And this quote from the report summary just nails it, really. The confidence isn't just wishful thinking. It's backed up by solid plans and real investment. It really does feel like this momentum is here to stay, at least for a while.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? The economy isn't just growing, it's growing profitably, and it's built on a really solid foundation. Which of course leads us with the million-dollar question. With things looking this good, how long can it last?